Hey, just a general bit of housekeeping before I start. This is a ranked matchmaking game between Hippie and Lathans. Hippie about 25th on the ladder, and Lathans about 11th at the time of the game. And if you want a game analysed by me, a pro player, a cool guy, etc., etc., and you want some tips and so on, then please send a Discord message to the Discord name below. That's my Discord account, and just generally try to be as annoying and as obnoxious as possible. Okay, so this is Hippie versus Lathans on Death Row. We're both playing as the 4th Motshutsun Division, and this was a ranked game, so we didn't prepare specific decks for this game. We just prepared our standard rank decks, which have to be slightly more generic catch-alls because you don't know how many zones you're going to get, you don't know if you're going to get a really forested map or a really open map, so it's difficult to specialise. I'll show the decks on the screen now, and then we'll talk about the deployment. Okay, this should be working. This is Lathan's deck for the game, and we'll jump into this. So, fairly standard. He's got 6 CVs in the Logi tab and 2 cards of supply. That's very normal. Then, as 4th, you should always bring the FS Jaeger Metis. You should always bring at least 1 card of FS Jaeger. Everything else here is fairly straightforward. Pioneer Flams in the SPW-70. Yeah, standard Pioneers. I don't actually use these anymore, but we'll get to that. Motshutsun in a BTR, or, well, an SPW-70, which is a BTR. Panzerjäger, then 2 cards of normal Motshutsun at 2 vets. Pioneer Führer, so this is 4 strength, 3 availability for 150 points, including the transport. Let's have a look. Okay, that seems fairly standard. So, next tab, artillery. So 2 cards of mortars. Mortars are very strong in this meta, so that's understandable. 1 card of Acacias. Tanks, he's basically got all the top line tanks. Yeah, I do the same thing. Aufklärer in the KPV. This thing's really good. These helicopters are really good. I don't rate this. I think this is a bit crap, but that's personal preference. Standard AA tab, card of Cubs, card of Shokas. The heli tab's interesting, so he's got 4 cards of... Sorry, four units of these rocket guys, rocket ones. Which is the wrong one, I think. Okay, so for 25 more points you get twice as many rockets, but if you're just going to resupply anyway, then I guess it doesn't really matter. And then 2 cards of the Mi-24D AT. So this has the Phalanger ATGM, which is a bit crap. I personally spend 40 points more and get this, which has the Kokon, which has more range. It can outrange a lot of AA systems, not all of them though. It has bigger rockets, more rockets, better gun. It's basically better at everything for 40 points more. Although you can only get 1 of these, so I think I get 1 of these and 1 of these. I don't know, we'll see. This is a fairly standard air tab, so he's got 1 card of MiG-29 AAs. It's a decent fighter, but it can't really compete with things like the SU, the F-15, the Tornado F-3. Then you've got card of AT, card of Seed. Not a lot of people bring this, I do. Card of Clusters, and then HE Bombers. Okay, so this is my deck, and you can see some similarities, some differences, so let's dive into it tab by tab. The logistics tab is exactly the same as Lathan's. 2 cards of supply, 2 of these CVs. And infantry, we have some departures here. Everything's in a different order as well. So Lathan's brought 12 SPG-9s in this truck. I instead brought... Where are we? I instead, for 5 points more, not including the transport, I've been bringing the infantry. There's a few reasons for this. Trucks die in one hit to tank guns, whereas infantry teams of 2 don't. I'm not sure why. Basically, the infantry teams are a lot more tanky. They also come at higher vet, although you can probably just do the same with this. And they're really quite frustrating to kill. Another thing which I can't point to, they have forward deployment on these SPG-9s, which makes them very, very funny. Lets you do some very funny things with them. And then card of Metis, card of FS Jaeger. I do not bring the standard Pioneer, and the reason why is that this satchel charge is just getting nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. And so right now it does 2 HE with 46% accuracy and the range is 150 meters, so you have to be on top of them to use it. And you have to be stood still so that you can aim the satchel. Take some time to cook it up. Whereas this flamethrower troop, they take 4 seconds to aim, sure, but if you manage to get the flamethrower off on your enemy, he can't throw a satchel at you. So these guys are just way more useful than these guys. And that is shown in the price and the availability. But generally, I don't find these guys particularly useful in comparison to Mott Schutzen. So these guys, I bring them in the BMP-1 SP2. I don't really know if there's any need for that. Sometimes this ATGM here gets me some kills. Next patch all this is going to change, so I'm probably going to be bringing the BTR guys. So yeah, Mott Schutzen, they get 2 MGs, and right now this is very, very, very powerful. So I bring 3 cards of those at top vet, so 18 Mott Schutzen as opposed to 18 from 2 cards at the second vet. Have I missed anything out here? Probably not. Panzerjäger, Conkers, I bring Conkers in SPW-70. The accuracy is kind of bad, but if the enemy has an ATGM flying towards him, usually he just kind of panics and then runs away, doesn't tank it. Yes, I did miss something out. So the thing that I really wanted to mention is this Jaeger here, Jaeger Führer. 125 points, not including the transport, 3 availability, 4 strength. So that's the same as this one, and it's 5 points more than this one. So, you know, who cares which one you bring? Well, this one has a very interesting ability to forward deploy. I don't know if you can see that parachute there. I can't hover over it, but there's a parachute next to the name. That means it can forward deploy. And that means at the start of the game you can secure a zone almost immediately, which is... you don't always need to do that, but if it's the same price as this one, well, why bother bringing the other one? You just bring this. Maybe if you really want an SPW-70 for 25 extra points, I don't know. Also, another point with the Pioneers, so these guys usually get stunned before they can get into range, and their medium machine gun does not fire on the move. The Mott Schutzen get 2 RPKs, or German RPKs, they're 7.62 RPKs, they're very, very good, and they can fire them on the move. So if this guy is running towards you, trying to throw his satchel charge, you just run away while shooting at him with both of your anti-infantry weapons, and he can't shoot at you because he doesn't have the stabilizer, and then you win the fight. Artillery, fairly standard, so yeah, mortars are very powerful right now, but I prefer to bring 2 cards of howitzers on 1 card of mortars. I've seen people just bring 3 cards of this. They're going to nerf these a little bit, presumably, so don't see the point in that. Tanks, fairly standard tank tab, so the most expensive tank, and then the second most expensive tank, and then the 45-point fire support. One key difference is that I actually bring this anti-tank gun here. So it has a decent ATGM, a decent gun, and it's quite cheap, 65 points, 85 including the transport. The main reason why I bring this is because you only get one card of the 90-point tank, which has the same ATGM. So in order to get some more good ATGMs, I bring this. Recon tab. So I have the helicopter, this is great. And then I have the standard infantry and the KPV, except I up vet mine to max vet because I never used 12 of them. So I figure why not just give it a bit more veterancy. That also upgrades the transport, which makes that a bit better as well. And then I bring 4 of these guys. So I don't get these for the recon, I get them for the helicopter, the Mi-8T. This is just your standard, shoots rockets, helicopter, less than 1 armor. And so that way I can get 4 of those for 1 card. 1 3-point card, mind you. AA tab, same, card of Shilkers, card of Cubs. And then for the helicopters, I bring 2 cards of this, the Mi-24D AA. So this has 2 of these R60 air-to-air missiles, which are a bit crap, actually. 50% accuracy, which means you're probably going to hit 1, and they only do 3 HE. Whereas most... So this helicopter has 10 hit points. So if you hit, it's not really going to kill anything. But the enemy likes to open with helicopters, and so if you have helicopters with some kind of AA ability, that will help you win that fight. You also get 40 of these 80mm rockets, which are quite good. Then I bring 1 card of the standard AT helicopter. Air tab. Okay, so card of this AT jet. It's amazing. Everybody should be using it. There's not much reason to upvet it because the accuracy is quite high and you fire 2, so usually you hit 1. And 30 pen is amazing. And then it fires the gun. So yeah, this is a very good plane. Bring a card of the clusters. It's a lot more expensive, but sometimes you need to kill something you can't see. So that's where this comes in. And then, instead of buying the MiG-29 AA, I buy this cheaper 155-pint fishbed MiG-21 Bison. So, looking at the stats, obviously it's not as good. It's really quite bad. But the availability is twice as high. And both of the missiles are fire and forget. So, if you look at the MiG-29 AA, this missile, this very cool missile with amazing range, this is semi-active radar, which means that it can only fire 1 at once. Whereas this one is fire and forget. So it has 2 fire and forget missiles, 2 sets of fire and forget missiles, and it can shoot both of them at once and fire the gun. So I prefer it. And the higher availability is really the real deal sealer here. You get 4 of these. Instead of the MiG-21 Bison HE, which Lathans brings, I bring the rocket plane. The rocket plane fires rockets. I evac it as soon as it has fired all 10 of these 120mm rockets. The HE is good. It generally hits what it's aiming at. And the supply cost is extremely low. The other advantage is because of the range, it's shooting while it's moving towards the target, which means that you can evac it earlier than a high altitude bomber. I think, might actually be wrong there. And then I bring the seed plane as well. Seed is very buggy right now. If you toggle your radar, you basically survive the seed, so you just turn the weapon off, turn it back on immediately, and you'll be okay. So it's a bit rubbish, but it has high ECM, which means that it's harder to hit, which can be useful. Okay, so we have myself here in blue, playing as the 4th Mottschutzen Division, and this is a fairly standard opener. So you get FS Jaeger, which have forward deployment, which means that they start ahead of regular troops, which start back here. Recon starts slightly further forwards, but not as far forwards as airborne troops. That's just one of the things in the game. So along the bottom here, I'm just sending in FS Jaeger just to secure this zone, stop anybody from running down this road and killing me. And then here, got something slightly better going on. So FS Jaeger Metis, these guys have a short distance ATGM rocket launcher thing. I don't know how to describe them really. It's a wire guided rocket, so you shoot a rocket and then you steer it using your VR headset, and you fly it into a tank. And then I have 2 cards of these SPG-9 forward deployment units, which are going here and here. I also have a card of Recon, that's going here, to give us some view over this central point here, which is where most of the fighting occurs on this map. In the middle, something fairly similar going on, so another SPG-9 recoilless rifle just going to the middle of the map here, and then that gets good viewpoints over things coming down the road on the right, so it can shoot them at its 1500 meter range. And another card of FS Jaeger Metis going to this house here. Now here's something interesting. I've started with a forward deployed CV. This will capture the zone and give me +3 points. Yeah. And it starts slightly further forwards than a standard CV, which gives you a bit of an advantage, but you have to pay a bit more for it. So a lot of people, I see them unloading it in this zone here. That is a mistake. This is a +2 zone. This is a +3 zone. So why not travel the extra 50 meters and take the +3 zone? I also have a card of Recon just going here to provide vision over the left side, the top of this center point. And then a card of these FS Jaeger Metis going to this house here to provide good sight lines. This is a very useful house to have. And another card of FS Jaeger Metis going to here, so it can shoot anybody coming down this road, and then I intend to move it further over here. So that's the forward deployed stuff. Looking at the back, we have 2 AA helicopters, which I spoke about in the draft, and they're going to the middle of the map. The AA part of these helicopters is just a bonus. What I really want to do is fire all these rockets at whatever's coming down that road. Then we have some anti-aircraft. So a Cub, which is a long-range missile launcher, 9 HE, most planes have 10 HP, so this will almost kill a plane. Then you bring the Shilka, which is a chain gun, and this fires really fast, and it will usually do 1 or 2 damage to a plane, depending on how long it flies over it. So you can see the combination here. The Cub only needs to get 1 hit with its 3 missiles to deal 9 damage, and then the Shilka should finish off the enemy. I also have 1 card of Mortar here, so we agreed when the game started, when we found each other, which was coincidental, we agreed not to use mortars for killing, to only use them for smoke. This is because in the current patch that this game is played on, mortars are absolutely absurd. They have an aim time of 5 seconds and they do 2.3 damage per shot, and they fire very quickly. So they basically delete units, they can stun tanks immediately. It's very frustrating, so we both know each other well and we agreed to that. I also have 1 card of supply, it's a 60-point supply, and that is to supply this Cub, because 1 plane flies over this thing, usually shoots all 3 missiles and then it's useless. And this can also resupply the mortar and resupply anything else I need it to resupply. Going over to the right side of the map here, you'll see a lot of similarities. 4th Schutzen again, played by Lathans, and you see an FS Jaeger along the bottom road just to secure this point in case somebody's coming down here. FS Jaeger Metis taking this point here, so he can get good shots over anything crossing this field and anything coming down this road. A card of supply for the FS Jaeger Metis. This is a 20-point supply, so it doesn't have as much supply in it, but it's cheaper, so it doesn't matter if you lose it. Then in the middle here we have 2 cards of the FS Jaeger Metis going towards this house and this house. That's very standard. These, as you can see from the sight lines, that covers a lot of the middle with those ATGMs. Then we have some recon. 4 units of recon, and they are going to similar positions, just trying to contest this part of the zone. Interestingly enough, the reason this looks so weird is that this is a recon unit, and as you can see it has very good optics and it's a recon unit because of these binoculars, but the transport is also recon. It's not as good, but it's cheaper, and it's wheeled. So what Lathans is doing here is he's unloading, he's queued up orders so that it unloads the infantry here, and then it will come back down here and assume a recon position here. So that's a good idea. I don't think I'm doing that. Yeah, so that's the right thing to do, because otherwise you have 2 recons looking at the same area of space, so that's obviously a waste. But he's not done it with this one though. And then these are little amphibious tanks, and they have good optics. They're not amazing, but they have a gun on them, so they're quite good for a recon vehicle because you can shoot back whatever's shooting at you. Towards the back here we have 3 T-55 AM-2Bs, 1 card of supply and 2 cubs, and an AT helicopter. So the AT helicopter is going to the middle to try and shoot any units it sees coming down the road with its rockets. Where are these guys going? So they're all going over here, and you can probably already see what Lathan's plan is here. There's a very large amount of units going here, and then presumably he intends to attack. Let's talk a bit about the tanks. So this is the most expensive tank that 4th gets, and it's a T-55, so obviously not the best thing in the world, but it's the best that money can buy for the 4th Moschutzen division. So you can afford more of them. There's even a 4th one up here. That's going to here. So it can poke through the trees and take some shots and then go back in. And yeah, at the top of the map we've got FS Jaeger Metis trying to secure this house. So yeah, usually these 3 houses are fought over a lot because, well, if you get into this one with something long range, you can cut the enemy's resupply. If you get into this one, it's not as good, but then you can move down here and then cut the enemy's resupply. Move into this area and threaten the middle. Yep, recon going to the front building, and then 2 Moschutzen in the BTR going to here. So that's to prevent anything coming down this road, and presumably they will go into the forest, go up, and then try and kill some stuff over here. So that's the entire draft. I think I've covered every unit deployed, why it's there, what the point of it is, and now we'll start the game. Okay, so the game has started, and the folks are all going to their respective positions. Just keep in mind that we have been banned from using mortars to kill people. The mortars are only for smoke, and there's no rule for that on howitzers, so this is just a gentleman's agreement. This division is all about rushing with these forward deployed units, trying to take just over half the map, and then sitting on it for the rest of the game. Actually, that's not entirely true, but anyway. So, as you can see, I've immediately capped the middle zone, and I have an AA helicopter cutting the middle of the map, and it spots this AT helicopter here. So that's wounded. And now there's a lot happening here. You see the SPG is shooting, you see the AA helicopters are shooting, they finally get that, so that's a big kill, that's 190 points out immediately. Now these helicopters are free to just punish my enemy because the AA isn't here yet, and here it comes, MiG-29s. So that kills one, flies over the Cub and the Shilka, and doesn't die. Which is very unlucky, but, you know, it happens sometimes. I think the Cub missed all its missiles. And I attempt to chase with this. I fail. It dies. But then Lathans flies back over my Shilka and dies as well. So that specific trade worked in Lathan's favour. Now, I saw where the Cubs are, so I pinged that. And already I can tell that something's going on here because there's lots of units here shooting at me, and I start moving my units back to assume a defensive position. I resupply my AA chopper. Over here, I'm just trying to wear down these FS Jaeger Metis. These guys should be in this building. And here these tanks now come in to kill these guys who have just run out of anti-tank. So I should move them back, but I wasn't fast enough, and now they're taking a lot of damage. This SPG-9 is doing work though. Nothing happening down here. Both of us have decided not to pursue this part of the map. And the SPG-9 is still shooting. That FS Metis is dead. An important fact to know is that this is basically the best of it unit in 4th. And your enemy only gets 4 of them, where you only get 4 of them. So you should count every time you kill one. So FS Jaeger Metis check. I still have 3. Lathans has 1, 2, 3. You really want to take care of these guys, so I should resupply this. You see the resupply truck. I'm going to try and keep it like this, sorry. See the resupply truck coming over, but I'm pretty sure it's about to die from what I remember. Yep, so that was a loss of 60 points. That's not good. But right now, I have a large CV advantage because I bought the first CV, which then forces my opponent to buy CVs. So I buy a second CV to make sure that I constantly keep ticking up. Look at this, I'm +5 right now. And Lathans is forced to respond, otherwise he'll lose the game. So here comes a CV for mid. Ah, yeah, it's going to mid. And he just dropped another one, which will be coming here. Now you can tell that Lathans is trying to press his advantage here. He knows he has one. I should not have moved up with my FS Jaeger, that was a mistake. But I did not see these, so I assumed I would win this fight because the SPG would stun this, stun that, and then I would win. But you see how much punishment this thing can take for only 2 HP. I think there's something going on. But now these tanks begin to engage here, and I believe that does cause friendly fire, but it's still in his favour. I am losing. I send in a rocket plane to snipe that FS Metis. The Cubs both miss, and then they both hit, and I lose my plane. So this is quite a high RNG unit. 40% accuracy, you saw mine missed, and that's why Lathans doubles them up. Make sure that if you fire 6 missiles with 40% accuracy, you're usually going to get 2 hits, which is enough to kill anything. So still +2 here for me, but I know that Lathans has CVs coming. I assume that he will try and take this so that he can get some ticks back. Because this is a mirror, we're both at the same level with our decks, and so if you can get a point advantage in a mirror, it's a big deal. See, this SPG-9 now is being hit by the Acacia, but I kept the truck with it, and now it's going to survive because it just runs away. Looking at the top of the map here, this T-55 is killing everything. I should have paid a bit more attention here. These guys are stopped in their tracks because this... Well, never mind, they could go around. Here, just some back and forth, Motschützen versus Aufklärer. The Motschützen will win, but there's a lot going on here. That tank died just as the ATGM hit, and I didn't know about that. So I spent the rest of the game not pushing here, assuming there was a tank there, which is interesting. And then this SPG-9 with its UAZ is getting quite lucky again. And so I get it out of there. And I begin shooting smoke at the enemy T-55s, because right now I'm getting messed up and I can't shoot back. So if you smoke it, then they can't shoot. And that's really important. That's something more people need to do. I see this happen so rarely. And so maybe I can survive now, but I left it too late. But it forces these T-55s to move if they actually want to be useful. Meanwhile, I can still fire on this lot. And I bring over my fire support here to put down fire in this direction. I kill the Aufklärer, I'm pretty sure I wound this. And once again, I got another CV here. So, interesting thing, when you click on the unit to spawn it in, and then press Y and then click, it will automatically unload when it gets to the position, as opposed to sitting there. Which just gave me another couple extra seconds of +2. So it's worth doing. It's not a massive game changer, but it'll help you a lot. And we're just seeing more trading here. So at this point, I knew, at least I assumed, that I had way more here. And so I'm trying to push. But this, you see the strength of buildings in this game. How much punishment these guys can take without dying. Meanwhile, at the top of the map, Lathans has supremacy. He knows that, so he's trying to push. But once again, there's one FS Jaeger Metis in a building holding back all this. Just like one FS Jaeger Metis in a building can hold back all this. Not forever, but for a long time. And you see we're both keen to keep these alive. You see Lathan's pushing his back here. At the top of the map, he healed this one up. This was low. And I healed this one up because this was low. So you need to protect these for as long as possible, because they are very useful. So I still have 3, and I believe Lathan still has 3 as well. 1, 2, 3. And you see Lathan's doing some work here. So I just put a helicopter here. It can cover all this, but that is a risk because a jet can just come and kill it. So I have a cub behind it. Rocket plane just to kill something, and then I fly off. And I know that there's no AA here, but I'm wrong. So I do take some damage. And there's the AA plane from Lathans. It should fly over the cub and die. But it does not. And you see Lathans building up for something down here. He's sending more units here. But we've been fighting over this zone. So I also have lots of things here because we keep fighting over this part of the map. And so we both keep reinforcing it. And so continuing to try and push here can be a bad idea, because your enemy is also sending more and more units here. That's an interesting resupply list. I wonder if it came from here. And we see Lathans now has 2 Acacias, howitzer artillery to try and snipe some of my positions, and I have 1 Acacia to try and snipe some of his. So you see me pulling back my FS Jaeger Metis. I can't stress this enough. You need to shepherd these, you need to protect these, you need to keep them resupplied. This one is running out. And I bring up a seed plane to try and kill some of this AA. Seed is a bit shit right now. See, Lathans knows where my Acacia is, so I'm constantly moving it. So I know this is here, and I try and do a pass, and yeah, all you have to do is move a little bit, toggle it off and on, and then you will survive. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. Both players can do this, so it's not unfair, because you can just do it as well. And here we see me trying to kill this FS Jaeger here. Any units that survive can be repaired, like this Metis, so trying to kill them is important. And we get him, and then I see this, and I see all this, and I see these cubs, This seed, let's get quite lucky here. If those two both hit at once, it's dead. But they are missing. They are at max range, and this does have a high ECM, which is a debuff to enemy accuracy, essentially. Electronic countermeasures. But you see that it just doesn't kill anything, right? Because seed has some problems. But look at this. Lathans is trying to push across this field. He knows he has fire supremacy, so what do? I just shoot smoke at him. This will be a recurring theme in this game. So if I shoot smoke at him, these units can't shoot, and all of a sudden I can use my units to kill him, but he can't use all of his units to kill me. So really I should have pulled these guys back, but I've just blunted this entire push just by shooting smoke at him, because he can no longer use his fire superiority to hurt me. You see Lathan's trying to get some more guys in over here, and he's using his howitzers now to suppress my SPG-9s. So that's dead now. But once again, there's lots of smoke here. And I'm pretty sure I smoke here as well. Here comes a rocket plane to just kill that outlier, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna survive because I'm miles away. Do I survive? I do. And so look, there's a massive abundance of units here, but it can't be used effectively because I'm just smoking all the key points. Up at the top of the map, I've made some headway. Lathans, of course, is spending all his points down here, which means that I can try and move up, but I lose a unit here. I'm pretty sure it's an FS Jaeger Metis, so that was silly of me. And I'm just sending this guy around to be annoying. And Lathans is doing the same on this side, and it looks like we both miss each other. Oh yeah, units in forest can only see this far. So if you keep this here, then yeah, you can look in the middle, but that means the middle can look into you. Whereas I send mine round here so no one can see me unless they send a helicopter over or have somebody in there. So lots of AA on the map for Lathans, which is good, and very little AA on the map for myself, so I've got 2 Cubs and a Shoka. And here you see me trying to build up to take this area and sweep this, because if I can get to here, then the zone can no longer be supplied through here. Then I can get in this forest, start doing things here, and try to cut this off without actually attacking over this open field. So that's my plan. And you just see some trades here. The T-55s, Lathan's T-55s, used in 2s a lot more effectively than mine. So I'm using mine by myself. And you see Lathan's just use a MiG-21 there to try and snipe this tank, but he fails. But it does survive. And then here's my attempt at some airplay. I want to kill that tank, and I've got a seed plane. So I figure I'll be okay. I use the seed, but seed is bugged right now, so I lose plane number 1. And then I almost lose plane number 2. So don't use seed right now. It's not very good. Another point to bring up is that I'm shepherding my helicopters here. Every single time you use a helicopter in a location, you can be guaranteed that something's coming to kill it. So fly it back as soon as possible and preserve it. Don't just leave it there, because it will die, and you don't get many of these. And we see Lathan's gearing up for another push. I've lost over here. These T-55s are now both maximum veterancy, which means that they will continue to trade favourably against my T-55 AM2s, and I'm just trying to hit that cub with my howitzer. I did not know this CV was here. And you see Lathan's trying to push down here, but there was a Shoka there. This tank killed it because that bomber did not kill that tank. And now Lathan's going for another push again, but I have even more units here than I had last time, and guess what I'm gonna do? Start shooting smoke at these guys, and then I'm going to shoot smoke at these guys, and then I'm going to shoot smoke at these guys. You see Lathan shooting where my cub was, so I've moved it, and I'll move it a bit more. And all of a sudden this push comes to a grinding halt again because he can only shoot with some of his units. Some of his units are exposed on the wrong side of the smoke. And they're taking heavy punishment. I bring forward my AT helicopter, but I'm going to send it back straight after. These T-55s have pushed through the smoke and then been side-shot. And you just see the effectiveness of the smoke in this engagement. When one player is using smoke and the other isn't, there's just a huge difference. Also, cost efficiency. So this right here is a stationary defensive army. You have SPG-9s, very, very slow. You have an anti-tank gun, obviously very slow. Obviously you've got some tanks, but not that much infantry because I'm not trying to take ground. Whereas my enemy has lots of tanks because he needs to advance, so he can't use stationary units. Stationary units, of course, are slightly cheaper than mobile units because the speed is factored into the price. So I'm making some mistakes here. Lathans has done a good job in moving up this munitions vehicle so that you can constantly keep these guys supplied, but you just can't go anywhere. As soon as he gets out of the smoke, I just start blowing up all his things. And it's back again. With a couple less tanks, because they've been killed. And now we see Lathans beginning to ping these, because I'm not moving them when I should be. I moved this one, and I moved the tanks back, but I didn't move all of them. Which means the artillery is coming. Here comes an AT plane to kill this, which, if it's an exposed unit, yeah, it's worth it, because it's free, right? It's no risk. And away he goes. And here we see Lathans doubling up an AT in a seed plane like I was, and he does it much better than me. So you see the AT plane now coming for the helicopter, because I left it there, which I said I wouldn't do, but I did. And I kill it, but he gets more AT planes than I get helicopters. And I had these turned off, otherwise the seed plane would shoot me, which allowed him to snipe the helicopter, and I didn't turn them back on fast enough. And this is still in play, so these go back off again. This is the dance we play, so when it's got its back turned I can shoot, but when it's facing me I can't shoot, otherwise the anti-radar missile will come and kill me. Then I do something very stupid and I send a jet on it, and then I kind of forget that I've done that. And I fly over all his AA, and I don't make it. Yeah. So that was silly of me. In the meantime, my Panzerjäger's got a bit more forwards, and I saw something here. Just in the corner of my vision. And we see the howitzer shells coming from my AA positions, so move your AA after it shoots, otherwise a howitzer's going to hit it. This guy still has 2 anti-radar missiles as well, so adding to the issues. So the seed is protecting these, and the cluster plane comes in to snipe the cub. I thought I had moved it enough. Oh, he swaps targets to Shilker and gets a Shilker, but this gets hit in the crosswind. Seed plane fires, kills the cub. This survives. That survives. I dive it again. And then I lose another fighter and the seed is still alive. So yeah, maybe you should use seed. It's up to you, really. So looking at the map, I'm still trying to push through over here. Lathans has done a good job saving the supply vehicle. I'm attempting to counter batteries Acacias, and I actually get one. So I didn't actually know I got that one. I just assumed he was moving them after every shot. But in a 40-minute game, eventually your enemy is going to make some slip-ups. Like I did with my airplay just then. So I hit that, and now he's only got 1 Acacia. And in a map where I have the point advantage, and we're both just sitting here, that's good for me. So what's happening here? Lathans is still trying to push this zone, and I've seen Lathans push this zone over and over the course of this game, so all I've been doing is bringing more and more units here, and I'm holding them behind so they don't get howitzered, but they're tanks so I can move them up. What's the Acacia shooting at? Oh, I was trying to counter battery. And he's trying to counter battery me, and I'm moving. So counter battery isn't always about killing the enemy units. It just slows the enemy down. He can't fire as much if he keeps having to move his howitzers, so it can be useful in that regard. See a small probing attack here? These guys are on return fire, or holding fire. And Lathans just seeing what's over here, and I'm shooting smoke at him because I don't actually have anything to do. And sadly my Panzerjäger over here has been spotted. I have some AA, but it's not close enough. So yeah, I try and move this up. Meanwhile, I'm just smoking here, just to piss him off, basically. I mean, I've got spare time. Nothing's happening. I know he's going to attack me because nothing has happened for 5 minutes, so what's going on? So this Shulker's almost there, and I didn't know about this tank, so I'm pretty sure it dies, and it doesn't even get this, which is bad, because this can now see this. And here comes the plane, and I almost die. Meanwhile, I saw the Cubs with the Panzerjäger and have been trying to kill them. This T-55 is now routed. This guy's still alive, but uh-oh. And the plane's killing with the guns, and here comes the seed again. Ruin my day. And here's another massive push from Lathans in the exact same place. And meanwhile, I'm pretty sure I know this is going to happen, so I've also been reinforcing this as much as possible. And I moved my Akatsias, but I had them next to my AA, which is not very smart. And I had them on my resupply road, which is not very smart. Meanwhile, the seed is killing more of my anti-air. I should have brought some radar anti-air. Some non-radar anti-air even. And my Motschutzen are making some plays back here. But this air play is very difficult to deal with because the seed highlights the enemy AA and then the AT plane kills it. So I'm focusing on this. I have my stuff bound to hotkeys, so I can very quickly toggle it on and off. It's H, the hotkey is H, but I'm not fast enough and I lose this one, and this one survives. I get the plane, but it doesn't matter. Here come the bombers. I send this out. Don't know if this is my last or second to last jet, but yeah, it does. So very weak play from me in this game. And Lathans is building up for another push, but I'm ready for him. I know exactly where he's going to attack, because it's been the same place every time this game, and so this is now very dense. You see him trying to suppress the AA again. I take the opportunity to move my mortars as well. And this is getting very crowded. Okay, here he comes, attack number something. The mortars get unloaded. You'll never guess what's going to happen. Meanwhile, I am shooting at this, because I see some of it. And here we go again. I move the tanks up. But so Lathans does have some more units here than me, but he doesn't have that many more, and he's attacking. And here comes the smoke. All of a sudden, all of these can't fire. So now all of this is shooting at half of this. And I just keep smoking him, constantly smoking him. Move over some vehicles. I move over one of my remaining choppers. Here comes the other half of the attack. Some helicopters around here. I don't have AA in this region because Lathans just killed my seed plane. A bomber swarm. Thankfully I still have one Cub, so I can do a little bit. And I have some Shulkers over here. I lose the cub. But look at this. So the planes are coming in, he's getting some kills, he's making some ground, but all of this can't shoot because of the smoke. This is one mortar. One 35-point mortar is nullifying half of this push. On the other side, I know that this is going on, so I start pushing over here. Sadly, there's 2 BTRs there. Use some rocket planes of my own to try and snipe some of the outlying guys in a way that will let my plane survive. But I get it wrong and the plane dies. And now look at this push. So can they go forwards? Can they go backwards? Well, the smoke is in the way. And all the time, just, you know, a couple of these units are just being shot at by all of this. Both sides now making a lot of micro mistakes because there's just so much happening. Here comes the seed again. I'm bringing up my recon outclearers, but it's not for the recon. It's for the MI8s, just so I can kill all this. I know there's cubs over here, but I didn't think this was here, and it's certainly not here, which means I can shoot down this road. I lose the Shoka to the seed plane. Amazing play from Lathans once again. And this now starts being shot by the cubs, so I think I pull these back. Or do I just kind of... yeah, I just go for it. I know there's a big blob of units here because I saw it come down the road. And we just start stunning it up with all the rockets. And in the north, I'm winning. I'm trying to advance. This unit's almost in the back there. Lathans is bringing in a CV, because he's been on the defensive all game. He's been on the offensive all game, because I have the point advantage. Which means that I can just sit here like a melon, which I wouldn't normally do, but against such a good player, I reserve the right to be as annoying as possible. And this push is just completely stalled because he knows there's somebody in these buildings. And if he gets close, they'll just kill them all with their rocket launchers. So I send some AT and some seed just in an attempt to do the cool suppression thing that I saw Lathans do on TV. And it doesn't work for me, I don't kill anything. This push is trying again. These guys are resupplying. The helicopter has been stunned up. I should have moved it back. I said you use it and then you move it back. You use it and then you move it back, but I did not do that. Now, I'm pretty sure I see this, obviously, because I'm automatically shooting at it. And I know that if that CV gets into the zone, I'm going to have a bad time. The cluster kills all that because I was too clumped up. But it's going to fly over these shulkers and die. And you just see more and more reinforcements pouring into this side of the map. And if you're both playing the same division, and you're both going to the same place, then presumably whoever's defending is going to have an advantage. Another seed plane with cluster. And I'm pretty sure I get this one. These guys are being resupplied. Good job on Lathans for the resupply. These Mott Schutzen have almost made it. But there's just so little left. So realistically, what you want to do in this situation is try and get up to here as the red guy. Just cross over here. And so that's why these tanks are here, to stop him from doing that. More HE bombers. But all the seed's gone now, and now he's just constantly flying over this shulker. It'll make it, but it's going to be repairing for about 8 minutes now. Meanwhile, I've not been moving my artillery because there's been a lot going on. And I failed to spot this, or prepare for this. This is still alive. And so I'm desperately trying to get units in because I know this is here, I just lost my unit. I didn't know about the CV, but I presumed that there would be a CV coming. And here you see me trying to counter battery Lathans, and he's going to move. Once again up here, I'm trying to move forwards, but if you have stuff in this forest, then you need to come down here. But the stuff here can be shot by things here. So I didn't actually know that all this was empty, and so I was being very cautious here. And here we see a massive blob of infantry, and then at this point I'm really wishing I brought the bomber instead of a rocket plane, because then I could do a blanket bomb and just kill all of these, but sadly I brought the rocket plane. And so now I just smash everything into here, I'm pretty sure. The mortar has ran out of ammo, so no more smoke. And here you see me trying to make some work here. I think I win this. I mean, I should do. Hooray! So HE bomber comes for the tank, but shulkers are here. The seed's all dead. Pretty sure I've killed 4 seed by now, 3 or 4 seed. And this is now in the zone, so the clock is running. Can he get to 557 points? And I'm desperately trying to stop him. Pretty sure I just click everything. I bought an extra CV in case mine died. But I'm making a lot of mistakes here. These guys should be healed up. These guys should be healed up. This should be healed up. And so I just start sending units in. And you're about to see how effective the Pioneer Flam is. So this guy just sits down and starts flamming, but I see the Führer, and Lathans is trying to get him away to the side, so I'm just walking after him, and I focus fire him and I kill him. So the danger is over. Over here, I've managed to push over here. Lathans has moved his CV and all his cool stuff, but I don't really have enough here to do anything. Also, I got this guy here, and then he got spotted and died, which was my fault. So, playing Ring of Roses, I don't know if you'll be familiar with that, might just be a British thing. Both running around each other. Lathans is trying to keep these guys alive for as long as possible to annoy the shit out of me. And I'm trying to chase them down and kill them. So I have a pack gun here, and I just told everybody to get over here. I wasn't really paying enough attention. The pack gun's going in as well. And now I'm desperately trying to get my AA over here because At this point, I believe I'm now howitzering my own units. Might be Lathans. And another attack here. This time I've run out of smoke. I should have resupplied this or brought in another mortar. This guy's been the hero of the game, dropping lots of smoke. And at this point, I think all of this is dead, so I'm just like, well, presumably he sent everything. So I'm going to click on him now. And the Shilker died to the SPG-9. I know there's something there. I assumed it was a tank. I didn't know it was an SPG-9 on a truck, but okay. These rocket helicopters now doing work because I've had my AA suppressed all game. I only have one thing left up here. I just lost that Shilker at the top. And I have clicked over here, and everybody's going over here now. These helicopters are now doing work, and I move the Shilker up. My helicopter's doing work as well. And now, so when I took this, I called in all these T-55s. There goes my Mi-8, and he lost one as well to my Shilker. Called in all these T-55s to exploit it, and Lathans called in all these T-55s to defend it or retake it. And so now you see this big blob. Meanwhile, I'm almost in here. Everything down here is dead. This Motschützen gets around and tries to kill this, but I spot it as it's shooting at my FS Jaeger, and so I fly these guys away. And I tell this... I'm pretty sure yeah, so this was the one that I brought in for here, but the Motschützen will kill that. I lose my Shilker to the seed. At this point, I have no AA left at all. I'm winning this trade because these are in the open and I have a bit of recon. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I tell this to go around, get down here and get in here. I'm sending these all to line this road, and I'm just going to try and get some extra points in the last 4 minutes with my abundance of CVs. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3 for one zone. I have to run these guys back because of the AT chopper, and I am now out of AA, and there you go, that's GG. So let's have a look at the kills and losses, and then I can finally stop speaking. SPG-9 costs 35 points roughly, and it killed all that, paid for itself. The AA killed 2, like it must have got the final shot off on a plane, that's interesting. And it got a final shot on a helicopter. FS Jaeger Metis, FS Jaeger Metis. This was the pack gun that was in the fight in the middle, that just sat there plinking away for most of the game. I don't rate these SPG-9s at all. You could say these didn't pay for themselves. Obviously, this killed an enemy version of itself and a shilker, but they do pay for themselves because they provide suppression. You don't want to go overboard on it, but the value added by even just having one howitzer and just being an annoying piece of shit is massive. Another anti-tank gun. On the enemy side, Lathans played very well with his FS Jaeger Metis. Look how many kills that one got. So, what's the moral of the story here? Well, you've seen the whole kill list now, and what didn't you see? You didn't see a mortar. Because the mortar didn't kill anybody, but it is the reason I won the game. One mortar, using smoke, constantly smoking your enemy, stopping him from using his full firepower, while allowing yours to use to fire on a smaller portion of the enemy. Use smoke.